This is finally happening. I am recording my very first YouTube video and I'm super excited about that. It was a long process. I've had this idea for quite some time. And today I actually set up this whole setting for the first time and ta-da! A lot of things didn't work. I missed some pieces. The light wasn't as great, the mic wouldn't connect, and I started getting into watching videos on how to make a video. Bad idea. Actually, let me rephrase that. It is a great idea to grow, and I am so eager to grow on here, but for this first video that I just decided doesn't have to be perfect. I'm doing my very best, but it's gonna be far from perfect, and I hope in like 10 videos I'm gonna laugh about this one. This is today, and I decided not to do a great introduction video. Since it's the end of the year, I decided to actually do a little recap of my year with you, because this year has been crazy. Let me tell you, this is why we're sitting here, because I have a lot to share. So 2023 was definitely a year of a lot of change, actually life-changing, very life-impacting decisions. I would say let's hop onto it, and I have a bunch of journaling questions that I like to answer on a regular basis to the end of the year, but also for my birthdays. So if you want to, you can just take those journaling prompts for yourself or those questions and answer them. Either you journal about them or you make a YouTube video out of it. I did both. I actually journaled, I sat down and did the recap, and now I'm gonna share some of those with you. So let me grab my little notebook where I noted the questions, and I would say, let's start. So by the way, I'm Kea. I'm 38, and this is the year where I moved country. So let's see, what do we have first? My top 3 moments of 2023. My absolute top favorite moment / moments were our engagement and our wedding. Patrick, my husband, and I got married this year, and it was a beautiful, beautiful celebration. Because of the circumstances, it was a small wedding, and we celebrated with some friends of ours. Unfortunately, both of our parents couldn't be there, and we actually celebrated in our yoga studio, and our longtime beloved yoga teacher married us. So that was the first very special memory and moment of this year. The second one, I finally got to go to New York. New York has been on my list for many, many, many years. I want to say decades. And that actually has a reason. So being from Germany, I have spent half a year in San Francisco in 2011 and 2012. This was a very great time for me. I did an internship at a law firm, and I explored the city as much as I could. Like every free minute, I was just out and about. I explored the city, I learned about the city, and I had just the greatest time. And to me personally, it has such a value to be in a place for a longer time and actually get to know it, opposing to being a tourist. I mean, of course, I love traveling. I have traveled many, many places and countries, and it gives you great impressions as well, but not as well as when you live somewhere. So I always wanted to live in New York. After that experience in San Francisco, I thought, okay, I'm not going to New York as a tourist. I am going to New York and gonna live there for however long, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. And so I save myself for traveling to New York. This summer, Patrick had to go to New York for work, and he asked me to join him. I was more than happy to, because at that point I was pretty sure I'm not gonna live in New York anytime soon for a longer time. So I at least wanted to fulfill my big dream, finally going to New York. And so we did, and I got to explore the city a lot, and it was a lot of fun, and I felt really comfortable there. So that was the second great memory of this year. The third great memory of this year was connecting to Germans in Los Angeles. So I've been here now for a year. Everything was planned very different as it is now, 1 year later. There was no intention to actually move here when we first came. Patrick is from here, but we just actually wanted to be here for a bit of time. For him, mostly to connect to friends, to his work, obviously, be a little more in person, to his parents. And then a lot of things changed and came up over the course of this year. So we decided to stay here, and for me, actually make the move to here, which is still so crazy as I'm speaking it out loud. But yes, in early summer, when there was actually no intention yet to stay here for a longer time, I went the first time to an event at a German institution. And before that, I actually had this big mindset of, I don't want to hang around Germans, I want to get to know the locals. But I had this big pull. When I read about this event, I was like literally drawn to go there. So I did, and with going there, a whole new feeling in me arose, and it was so great, actually, because I'm very close to my German friends and German family. I talk to them a lot, but obviously it's always via Zoom or WhatsApp. And actually, like, being in person, speaking to people in my mother tongue, face to face, was so great in that first moment. And so that is a really big and great memory for me of that year. We're gonna dive into all of that a bit more. So let's get into the second one. What made me feel the most passionate this year? So one thing is definitely learning about LA. LA is such a great city, and I took off not being so convinced. I was open for Patrick, of course, but otherwise it's not a place where I thought, oh, I have to live there or I have to go there. And the first time when we were here 2.5 years ago, I didn't even like it very much. I stayed open, and I took some effort, especially, like landing here first of the year, to explore the city and to learn about the city. And that really, like, step by step, and this is still the journey. This is the journey I'm taking you on in these videos on this YouTube channel, to explore LA. One of the topics, at least. And so, for me, that was very fulfilling and made me very passionate this year. The second thing I got passionate about is my health. So I'm all over a pretty healthy person, luckily, but my stomach, my digestion has always been a thing. Like, from being very little, my stomach hurt. Like, this was the sentence my mom probably heard most, and unfortunately this is the sentence, after I love you, Patrick probably still hears most. So I got a bit into that. I'm not there. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm on a path, and it's a journey, and I'm passionate because I want to just feel good all the time, like I do right now. So it's not plannable. I get so used to that, obviously, over like 30 years or 35 years. that a lot of times it's not something that keeps me from doing things, but I'm trying to be more alert and more conscious with it. The third thing I get really passionate about this year is actually my personal journey. So a lot of times when I tell people my journey of life so far, those 38 years I've lived on this planet Earth, they are astonished and they're like, wow, that's a lot. But you know, if you live your life, if you live your own life, then you don't find it so much or crazy. I mean, you go through your life, and I'm a very conscious. I have become a very conscious person. I was not always a very conscious person, but yeah, there are a few instances in my life that have led me there. And I love my life. I'm a big lover of life. And this year, like actually with this big move and changing my life, like 180 degrees around, I even became very passionate about my own journey, the journey of my life. And so this is the third thing I get passionate about this year. What made me feel most accomplished this year? So first thing, definitely our wedding. I was never in a relationship before that I saw myself getting married in. And meeting Patrick and being with him over the last years and building this very loving, great, growing relationship with a lot of respect for each other, for me really meant a lot to move the quality of that into an actual bound of life, a marriage, a commitment. The second thing I felt very accomplished about was moving into our apartment, the apartment I am in right now. So I actually counted for you. We moved over the last 3 years 11 times. And that was mostly because we were subletting, because we weren't certain where we're gonna live next. We lived for a while in Morocco, we lived for quite some time in Munich, and now we're here. And we had mostly furnished places. We were moving like every few months from place to place. And when our last sublet contract ended, we were looking for a new one and we couldn't find anything, nothing furnished that really suited us. And so we started looking for actual leases. And that's how we found this apartment. And moving into here, it was a week after our wedding, so it like kind of all lined up. Started putting furniture in it and making it cozy and making it our home, and that feels very accomplished, although it wasn't the plan at first. And then the third thing that actually makes me feel very accomplished is starting this channel this year, because as I have told you earlier, I have debated myself so long. I've had this wish. I had so many reasons why I shouldn't do it, or why it's too much or too difficult, or I don't know how. And now actually getting into it and pulling myself together and sharing with you, giving you the inspiration that I really want to give to you, this accomplishes me a lot. Next question, what amplified my energy in 2023? And I can definitely say my long-time practice of Kundalini yoga. This is just my everyday go-to, my everyday practice. This is my vibe. This is, just everything that amplifies my energy, but also the decision of building a life in LA. Because as you could imagine, there were quite a few months, like more than half a year, where I was more expecting to go back to Germany and found myself like more on an extended vacation here. And it was a little bit of a limbo state. And I could find a lot of excitement in it on the one side, but then on the other side, it drained me a lot. So actually building a life here and having the intention in building a life here gave me so much new energy. And yeah, one of the things obviously is starting the channel. What drained my energy the most in 2023? Well, I've kind of already mentioned it. Not knowing what's next, that was a big draining. My stomach issues also drain a lot of my energy, and moving a lot. So we resolved that. What is one action that has kept me stuck in 2023? And that was definitely giving into my mood. Now, I want to talk about that for a moment, because giving into your mood is not necessarily a bad thing. Giving into your mood, and especially knowing your mood, knowing your feelings, feeling your feelings, be conscious with yourself, is a very, very good and healthy thing. And it is very necessary that we give ourselves space to feel. And especially as women, we are in a cycle. We're in a hormonal cycle, we're in a lunar cycle. And so our hormones go up and down and we feel different almost every day. And so it is very natural that our moods change, that our feelings change. And it is very necessary that we give into that to a certain extent and hold the space for it. This is also why I've been living in sync with my cycle for quite a few years. But what I have experienced at times this year was more, if I didn't feel like something, I wouldn't do it. And there was a reason to that, because I didn't really feel any purpose. I didn't feel a commitment. I didn't feel a benefit for others in what I was doing or what I was able to give. So if I didn't feel like it one morning or one afternoon or whenever I had set the task, I would go like, well, who cares if I do this now or if I don't do it? There is no purpose in doing this. And that is definitely one thing that has kept me stuck, because it has kept me from doing a lot of things. And shifting my mindset, but also like finding my purpose again, does have a lot to do with knowing what's next, knowing that I do want to build a life here. What was my great lesson in 2023? So every year we always learn a bunch of lessons, right? Positive, negative, no judgment. We just make a lot of experiences, and hopefully from a lot of them we learn something. But then there's always, I feel like, this greater lesson, like this overall lesson maybe that we can pick. And for me, that's definitely that life is a journey, and actually that life is an art. And to participate in life means action and curating that art. Like, I do not have to sit around and wait, no matter what the circumstances are. And please don't get me wrong on that. I know I'm speaking from a privileged position a lot of people in the Western world are in, because we don't need to fight for the basic necessities. We have a house to live in, we have food, we have some kind of medical support, we have some kind of a social network. So having those as our basic human needs, we actually are in the luxurious position to create our life and to live our life with purpose. And that actually means to participate in life and to take action in life. And then what am I most grateful for in 2023? Definitely my overall health, my husband by my side, my parents, exploring LA, and all the growth I was able to experience this year. And it is a part of growing up, right? I mean, do we ever come to the point where we're totally grown up? I don't know if we want to. There's this childish part in us that's always great to have. But then growing up into our life, stepping on our next level, that is something I'm very grateful for this year. One last exercise that I love, that I actually do at least once a year, and I'm sure you've heard of it, it's the Wheel of Life. I'm gonna start with personal growth. And I would say my personal growth has been huge this year. So I always think there's space for more. So I don't usually ever give anything more than a 9. But yeah, that has been a lot. So this is definitely a 9. I think, honestly, there's always space to grow. There's always space for more consciousness. There is always space for some more love and some more character building. So I always just want to leave that little space in between 9, 9.5, and 10. Then my health, as I have already mentioned, overall it's great. My stomach is definitely improvable. So I'm here more like at a 7, 7.5, I would say. Friends and family. I have great friends. I have a great family. I'm very, very grateful for that. And so this is definitely a 9, or let's say it's an 8.5 this year for me, because obviously I do have an intention of making friends here too. So yeah, let's say it's at a 8.5, but definitely, yeah, very high. My relationship also, I am very, very, very grateful for, and it is very, very good. So also here a 9. Then adventure. I have definitely had a lot of the adventure in my life this year, I would say in general. So adventure and my personal life is something I don't want to say I mastered it, but I am very good in living my life. So I am here at a 9 as well. Then next one is spirituality. Spirituality is something that's very important to me. I have a very deep spiritual practice that I practice every day. And so there are a few things where I sometimes think, yeah, I could do a little more here and there. So let's put this to an 8.5. And then a career. Well, my work abilities this year were pretty diminished. So obviously that had quite a bit of influence on my career, but also my finances. And I'm not super satisfied with that for this year. So I would say I'm gonna give this like a 6.5. And I'm very much looking forward to next year to change it and yeah, to just get back on track. So I think this gave you a great first glimpse into my life, and I'm very much looking forward to sharing more with you. I will take you on the journey of exploring LA, discovering cultural differences, and talking about life, because this is really what I love to do. I love to inspire you to live your life, to participate in your life, and sometimes that is not so easy. No matter where you are, if you're moving countries or in which place ever you are, this is just something we can always be reminded of sometimes. So if you're up for some stories, some learning, some discoveries, I would love for you to stick around, be part of my journey. Make sure you subscribe, and I'm very much looking forward to next time.